Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and welcome to the review of the fifth and final season, Volume 1 of Stranger Things, which is currently on Netflix for your viewing pleasure. Volume 1 contains 4 jam-packed episodes, and it felt like an entire season tied up in 4 episodes. It didn't feel like 4. It felt like 8 or 10. But not in a good way. Not like it was long and dragged out. It was so much story contained in those 4 episodes that I was like, man, this they could have wrapped up the season with this, but the promise of more, man, sign me up. This is a show that, like I mentioned, is entering its final run. One last adventure for this crew of the residents of Hawke, Indiana, that consists of Winona, David Harbour, Fan Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, and a cast of others. It is a long slew of performers on this show that I have just grew up. Well, I didn't grow up. I was grown when the show came out, but it feels like those kids grew up before our eyes, which they did. You know, we got cast members on this show that are currently married with children. And when we started watching this show, they were little baby children, man. They were kids. It's crazy to think that. And it's been a fun ride throughout these 5 seasons. And I have deeply enjoyed this show. This has quickly became one of my favorite shows on television. This show is, like I said, highly anticipated going into the final season. How will they wrap up this story that has captivated the world since it dropped on Netflix, the first season many years ago? And it's it's rare that I watch a show that I never pick up my phone to do something, to doom scroll through Twitter or Facebook or something, or play a game while I listen to it in the background or something. Didn't do this not one time throughout Volume 1 of Season 5. I was just locked in and focused on this show. And I honestly can't recall doing that for any other show. And that's how much I enjoy this show so much, and how much I enjoyed these first 4 episodes, Volume 1 of Stranger Things. This season picks up 5 years after the 5-year anniversary, I should say, of the abduction of Will in Season 1. So it comes full circle. We began in episode 1, which is entitled Chapter 1, The Crawl. And we began all the way back in 1983. We see a very young Will Byers with some deep fake, I guess you could say, some AI or CGI, whatever, to de-age Will. And we get how he was infected by Vecna and how he became the first. And so we fast forward 4 years later, and it's 18 months after Vecna tore up Hawkins, causing that big rift and just pretty much decimating the town. And the military has taken control of the town, putting it under quarantine, keeping the town squared off within the city limits, and pretty much having a stronghold where around this portal that leads to the Upside Down. During this time, the military has created a military base within the Upside Down as well, while still on the hunt for 11, who is training in hiding, of course, because the military wants her. She's training with Hopper and Joyce to infiltrate this military base. And so you have that going on. You have Dustin still mourning the death of Eddie from season 4, still wearing the Hellfire Club t-shirt and causing a lot of ruckus there because the town still blames Eddie, which is heartbreaking because we know that Eddie was a hero. Eddie saved their lives and pretty much saved those people with the sacrifice that took place in season 4. But he's being blamed. He was always the villain of the town because of the Hellfire Club and the people associating him with Satan worship and all this other foolishness. So Dustin knows better. All the kids know better, but Dustin is really taking it the hardest because he had the stronger relationship or the closest relationship with Eddie. So it hits him the hardest. So he's going through it at school, getting bullied, getting pushed around, even to the point he got beat up. Beat up in a whew. It was brutal, man. I mean, it was borderline almost to death by these bullies later on in this episode. And so the reason for the crawl, they call the crawl the infiltration, at least our group who we follow, the heroes, traveling through the upside down to try to find where Vecna is. All the while we have this little side story that turns out to be a bigger story moving forward with Mike and Nancy's younger sister, Holly. She has a quote unquote imaginary friend, this invisible stranger, if you will, Mr. What they call it, Mr. What's It, I think was the name. I didn't read A Wrinkle in Time, so I don't know what that is. But anyway, that Mr. What Kiss, what is or whatever. We find out later it's Vecna, so we'll roll with that. So she's having this talking to this friend. Everybody thinks that she's crazy or she's just a kid with an imaginary friend and blah blah blah. And that leads to her being kidnapped by Demigorgon. But before she can be kidnapped, her parents try to save her, because the Demigorgon comes to her house and just decimates. And bruh, you want to talk about heart-wrenching, man. I didn't think I cared that much about Karen. I didn't hate her or dislike her in any way. She was just a supporting character throughout. But that was, man, I got a little teary-eyed because I thought she was about to die. Because I know this is the final season, and I know that, I don't know for certain. We don't know for certain that there's going to be some heavy losses in this show or in this season going forward, but you kind of think that, you know, being as though there's a lot of stakes involved. And I thought she was going to be the first casualty, but she survived. The husband survived, but I mean, they got the business from that Demigorgon. But it was to no avail, her trying to protect her daughter, even though she gets a medal from me for trying to protect her daughter, standing in front of that Demigorgon trying to stab it to death with a broken bottle. The Demigorgon wins, takes Holly, and 11 follows through the rip that the Demigorgon created to drag her back. And so now you have 11 in the upside down, back in the upside down. Now, Hopper was already in the upside down with the crawl that they were conducting, the group was conducting. He got trapped in there because the military convoy got ambushed or whatever the case may be. So you have that going on. Later on, they end up meeting up, I believe in episode 2. I might be jumping ahead. That was in episode 2. But either way, yeah, they end up linking up. And that's pretty much where the episode leaves off. At least chapter 1 leaves off. This was great. This episode was directed by the Duffer Brothers themselves, as well as writing it. This was cool, man. And I felt the epic feel that they were going for here. I loved the feel of this episode. It's set up where we going. It sets up things to come, as well as rehashing some things from the past that you may have forgotten, in case you haven't rewatched, or it's been a minute since you watched season one, or last season even. So it got you caught up really quick just in this one episode. And so everything going forward, you're good. Even if you missed out, you're good, because you're all caught up. You know the lore. You know why we are in the situation that we're in. You understand the motivation of every character. All of the actors, I mean, good or bad, were great. They they are these characters. They live these characters for the past 10 years that they've been doing this show, and so they know their role. Everybody was just on point. It was good to see our newcomer to the show, Linda Hamilton, who plays the antagonist this season. She plays a major general in the military that is set up there in Hawkins, and so she is the head, the main gooba there for the military, who is hunting 11 down, and she is owning it. That you only get like one scene in episode one of her, but it expands in the fourth is it the fourth one or the third one? It's the fourth one, and that it really expands. But her presence alone, she just brings a certain gravitas to her. I mean, it's Sarah Connor, man. You had to put her in here. With so many homages to the 80s that this show does, to pop culture that this show does, how could you avoid Linda Hamilton? She is the hero of the 80s, stemming from the Terminator films. And so I was all in from this moment. I knew that the high expectations that I set were going to be met, because they're already halfway there with me. And that was just from episode one. And so we move on to episode two, which is entitled Chapter 2, The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler. I failed to mention one character from the first episode, and that was Max. And the reason I failed to mention her, because she wasn't in it. She is still in her coma. She's still dealing with the effects of her ordeal in season 4, when she was blinded and pretty much every limb was broken by Vecna, when she was being taken over by Vecna. So she is still in the hospital. And I guess one of the biggest questions going into this season was, what happened to Max? How is Max recovering from this? Well, she hasn't yet. But it's deeper than that. We find out later on that she is still in the upside down, at least her consciousness is. But anyways, let's move on to Holly. Holly is in the upside down. She's being taken by Mr. What's-It, who we come to find out is Vecna. And so Vecna takes her to this mansion, which was the Creed Mansion. Beautiful house. The house is all hers. He leaves her there. He's his charming self, and he pretty much woos her and convince her that this is the place to be. This is where you'll be safe, and so on and so forth, as he goes to get more children. And so all the while we see, at least the way it was shot, we see that there's somebody watching in the woods, and we find out that that's Max a little later on, when she leaves a letter in a compass, or I should say a map in a compass, in the mailbox for Holly to follow. And Holly goes and follows, and she puts on this hood, like she's Little Red Riding Hood, to go into the forest. And I mentioned that because we were watching this together, me and my wife. And right before she left out the house, she was like, "Oh, who is she supposed to be, Little Red Riding Hood?" And she puts on as soon as she said that, she put this hood on, and my wife just turned and said, "Well, I was right." Um, and I'm sitting there like, how did you clock that? Where did you see? Where did you catch that? Because I didn't catch it. And so we find out that it is Max. Max comes and finds her in the woods. Now before that, Vector or Henry, whatever you want to call him, told her don't go in the woods. Told Holly stay in the house, don't go in the woods. Not necessarily stay in the house, but just stay away from the woods. And so, of course, you tell a kid don't touch the stove, they're gonna touch the stove. So she goes into the woods. She finds Max, or Max finds her, however it goes, at this big rock formation. Looks like a canyon, and so we do get the appearance of Max pretty soon. I really thought they were gonna save Max for maybe volume 2. Her awaking from the coma or something like that, but it's still too early for that. Logically, and I know I'm speaking logic in a show that deals with the upside down and Demi Gordon and all this other stuff, but it makes more sense that she physically is still in that coma. But uh nothing else out of this episode really is worth talking about other than that, at least appealed to me. That's what I enjoyed from this episode more, was Holly and her little journey there. I mean, I guess you could say 11 and Hopper being in the upside down, uh uh them having, I guess, more of a father daughter breakthrough, if you will. That was nice, but nothing really to shake the world. I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it, but nothing else that really appealed to me or pushed the story to the point where, like, man, this is great, man. This is gonna change things. But everything else great. But I love the Holly going into the woods, finding Max. Now you have a different story. This really went a different path than I ever thought it was going to go, because I don't know how they're going to get out, how they're going to be able to reach our group that is in the upside down with them right now, who are searching for them. Well, searching for Holly. They don't know that Max is there. And so there's a lot there as well, but they're kind of stuck in this canyon of this mountain range that they can't really leave, because it's the one spot Vector can't go into, that Max explains later, I think in episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm interested to see how that go. Yeah, at least an explanation as to why they are, or I should say, Vector can't go in there, or is scared, because Max described it as he was terrified. In his acting here, man, the actor who plays Henry, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He nailed that scene. He nailed that look of I mean, pure terror, to the point where I felt sorry for him. It's something happened. Now, he was in the Boy Scouts as a little boy, and so my mind my mind immediately went to some kind of sexual assault that took place, because we know the history. I'm not making something up. Come on, really, y'all heard the stories. I know I've heard them, and so I know if you heard them, and that is frightening. If you went into this canyon where nobody can see you or hear you, or whatever the case may be, you're secluded from the world. That's a perfect place for a predator, I would think. I don't know. I don't know what a predator truly thinks, because I'm not one. Um, but I would think that's the spot that they would take children and prey on them, and that is frightening. And so he was terrified, man. I mean, this is an unstoppable killing machine that was just brought down to his knees, basically, at that point. So that's another exciting piece of the puzzle that I can't wait to see get placed into this proper place going forward. We move on to episode 3, which is entitled Chapter 3, The Turnbow Trap. And once again, another interesting development in this story. To say that this is the final season and you introduce new characters, kind of a new story approach to things, but yet and still keeping the current canon storyline going forward, and that new story is helping push the story forward, is really, really amazing. It shouldn't be. It should be easy for filmmakers to do that, but it's not. Most filmmakers don't, man. You watch movies and TV shows where things just don't line up. They just put stuff in it to be in it, and it doesn't hold any merit, doesn't push the story along, doesn't help you get more interested in what's going on. It gets depressing at times. But now in this show, they found the formula. They found the key to do it. This was cool, man. We get introduced to a new character, Derek, who ironically is the bully that picked on Holly at school. This little kid. And the whole family is bullies. from the mom to the dad to the sister. They're bullies or idiots, the most unlikable people you can think of. Pretentious, uh, uh, just arrogant and everything. Whatever you can think of, that's what they are. And so you have that, and the mission is, well, let me start like this. Will can feel the demigorgons. He feels them every time they come around. It's like he's a part of them now. So he has developed this new superpower, if you will, and we'll get to superpowers later in the next episode. But he's developed this new ability to, whereas when the demigorgons are close by, he feels them. It's like he's a part of them. It's a hive mind that he connects to. He can actually see and feel them, or see through them and feel them at the same time. And so the plan is to trap the demigorgon, or at least get him in a spot where they can put a tracker on him and then track him before he can take more children. Because Will has, being attached to their minds, know what they're thinking, and at the same time know what Vecna is thinking. And so he knows that Vecna is after these children, and so on and so forth. So the group, they devise a plan. Well, we're going to track the demigorgon. And so if we're able to track where he's heading, that may be where Holly is being held, and we can get her, So great plan. The execution was even better. They pulled out this kind of a Home Alone homage there when when the demigorgon was in that house to take Derek, setting up all these traps. Beautiful scene. Though the montage of them tearing that house apart was hilarious to me, because all I could think about is, okay, you knocked these people out, you drug them, but eventually they're going to have to go back home. And who is going to explain the fact that there's a giant hole with with barbed wire at the bottom? Who's going to explain the torn ceiling, or the hole in the ceiling, and all this other stuff? Who's going to explain all this stuff? But at the time, who cares? Who cares? This was a cool scene. That was a cool little scene to see the team working together. Everybody played their part. The biggest part played here is by sneakily my slick style favorite character on the show, and that is Erica. I love Erica, man. Erica is a beast in the fact that she is in her mid 20s, I think, or maybe even late 20s, but she's playing a high school. I don't even think she's in high school on the show. Am I wrong? She's supposed to be the younger sister, the much younger sister of I'm about to say Caleb, but that's the guy who plays Lucas. And she's supposed to be the much younger sister of Lucas. And so she might be in middle school or just in high school. But she is in her 20s, deep in her 20s. But she plays this little kid perfectly. Well, let me put it in perspective here, because I think at this point, the kids that we've been following, Mike, Lucas, Dustin, Will, I think they're 16, maybe 17, maybe 17. So that would mean she would be around 13, 14 she's playing on the show. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but it's just funny to me. It's hilarious to me that she plays it so well. I really believed, and this is me. I found this out after season 4, and I was amazed by it. And so I'm going into this season with this knowledge, and I'm looking for a grown woman. I'm looking for that, but I couldn't find it in her performance. That's why I'm so amazed by it. I thought it was cool, but she plays this character awesomely, and so her position in this plan is to infiltrate the Turnbolt house, but because she was friends with the sister, but they had a falling out a few days ago, so now she has to go and make up with them, right? Or make up with her so she can go in the house and give them this pie that has the drugs, so they can be all of them can be knocked out or whatever. And so the the part that sold it is when she came to the door, and she came and she apologized to the girl. I think her name is Tina. She apologized to Tina, and she has tears running down her face, and I mean, she was all in on this performance. She sold it that she was so sorry and all this. It was hilarious. And so the girl obviously accepts it. They bring the pie in. Everybody's eating the pie except for Tina. And so when everybody was eating the pie, and she's trying to convince Tina to eat some. And Tina's like, no, I got to watch my calories and blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, I brought it for you and all this. The girl refused to eat the pie. And so everybody else is passing out from the drugs. And Tina's freaking out. She's like, what's going on? Call 911. So now Erica has her time to shine. She has a syringe as a backup plan with the drug in it. And she just goes and stabs the girl in the neck. It gives her the drug. It was that whole scene was just beautifully done by Erica. Great addition to the show. To say that she's the comic relief, and all of them are funny. Everybody is funny on this show, but my God, Erica is a national treasure, bro. She is great. This was a interesting episode because of Derek. And Derek started off as the bully. And by the end of this episode, you liked Derek. By the end of this episode, you was starting to warm up to him. You really liked him by episode 4, but you really warmed up to him. And this show does this. Remember, Steve started off like that. Steve was like the arrogant rich boy douchebag in season 1, early on in season 1, but he became a fan favorite, one of the most beloved characters on the show. And Derek is kind of easing into that as well. But if we go by the history of Stranger Things, whenever they introduce a new lovable character, whatever season it is, that character normally doesn't make it out the season. Now, I don't know if they have the guts to kill off a kid like that, but it would be kind of funny. Um, we see in this episode that 11 has the ability to spy on people too through their minds. She did it to that soldier that they captured in the Upside Down. And that was a new thing I thought was very interesting. Through this kind of a telepathic interrogation, she believes that Vecna is being held in the military facility that's set up in the Upside Down, because there's one portion of the building that she can't go into because the military has developed this kind of kryptonite, as Hopper called it, that she can't get past. It's like this sonic wave frequency that disrupts her powers, that incapacitate her. So when she gets to this room through the visions, she can't break free of them. So she thinks it's Vecna. And so we get to episode 4 here, the final episode of volume 1, chapter 4, Sorcerer. What does that mean? Well, man, what an ending to this chapter, this volume, this section of this final season. There's a lot in this episode. I don't know if I have the time to go over all of it. I'm just gonna go over some points, main points, the ones that stand out the most. Even though there's a lot, all of them are big, 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 as far in regards to the climax of this show. But I'll go through the ones that just struck me, that really sticks in my head from this final episode. The first one that's sticking with me, and I just can't let it go. It's I've been wanting to talk about it since I started recording this episode, and that is when Max is telling the story to Holly, how she found a way out, or found a way to guide her through this maze of Henry's memories. And it was music. It was the song, of course, Running Up the Hill. And when she first kind of broke through and started venturing out, she went back in time. And when she went back in time, it was in high school, and she saw Joyce, Will's mom. She's standing there, she's handing out these flyers for this production of Oklahoma. And we also see a young Harper. But what stands out is the flyer. When Max picks up the flyer, she reads the flyer, and she looks at the name, and of course it's Henry Creel on the flyer, who's doing the production of Oklahoma. And we know that Henry Creel is Vecna. But the date on where this play is going to take place is November 6, 1959. That is November 6th. That is the anniversary, or not the anniversary, but that's the day that Will was abducted. On November 6th, 1983. And so, number one, biggest Easter egg there is there. But number two, here's where my mind really went racing. It really didn't dawn until the end of the episode, when the episode ended. Why is Joyce handing out the flyers for a production of Oklahoma that stars Henry Creel? Were they in a relationship? Is Henry the slick style father of Will? Is that why Will have these abilities? Is that why Vecna picked Will in the beginning? Is that why Vecna didn't kill Will when, at the end of this episode, when he clearly could have? He could have just demolished him at the end, but he didn't. He talked to him. He talked to him lovingly. He talked to him. I'm not gonna say like a father to son per se, but eh, there's something there. There's something there. I don't know, but like the show, this these first four episodes really harped on coincidences and do you believe in coincidences or not? And there's a lot of coincidences that have taken place throughout these four episodes with the Easter eggs and the references and so on and so forth. I'm just saying, just throwing it out. Just throwing that out there, bro. That was my biggest one. Another takeaway from this final episode of the volume is that Linda Hamilton's character is a bigger threat to me than Vecna. She appears to be more terrifying than the Upside Down man. I mean, you got to have a few screws loose in order to set up a base in the Upside Down and be willy-nilly with it. To have these creatures or a creature or two locked up in the office with you, like, it's nothing. And pretty much not train them, but have them figured out to the point they can do your bidding to a degree. And, and she is demented, and I know there's more there. Like it's they're setting it up that there's more to her than meets the eye. 11 kind of hinted to it, and they quickly cut away from it when she said, "Oh, I know who you are. I know exactly who you are," and they cut away from the rest of that conversation. And so 11 knows more than what we know at this point. Is just right now playing the waiting game to see where we head with this, because I would love to know what are Dr. K's motivations and what role has she played in all of this. Is she the one that helped out, what's his name, Papa, set up that lab or whatever, or so on and so forth? Is there a deeper backstory between her and 11 and whatnot, and these experiments, and in the past? It's got to be more. It's got to be more. So I can't wait to see how all of that plays out. Or do we have a blood connection there? Is Dr. K the mother of 11, or the mother of these other ones, some of these other special children that they created in that lab. Who knows? But that is another takeaway there. I'm super curious to see her story develop as we go along in this final season. The next one here is the big reveal that it wasn't Vecna that the government had locked up in that room. It was the other one, the one from season 2. I can't think of her name, and it's been killing me. And I refuse to go back and try to research because season 2 was not my favorite of the season. And so I'm that's the one I kind of refrain from going back and watch. But like I said in my recap of the previous seasons, that I don't hate it. It's just not as good as the other ones, These first 4 episodes of this final season are better than the entire season 2, in my humble opinion. But the one that she was hanging out with, that she called her sister, I forgot what number she was. And it kind of flashed it. 8. It was 8. She's 8. But anyways, yeah, she's the one who's locked up. And the reason I bring up season 2 and all that this was a way to kind of, you know, give a little love to season 2 and bringing that character back. Because my big question going, after season 2, where did they go? Where did she go? It's like you set it up. We spent the whole season with 11 and she's following this group around with 8 who was the leader of this group and so on and so forth, and we went nowhere with that. We're not going to get a call back at all about that, but I kind of had a sneaky suspicion going into this season, it's being as though we're wrapping it up, that we will at least get a reference. But we're getting more than a reference. We're actually getting that character back along with the actress who played her. She is locked up in that room, and she is the reason that 11's powers don't work with this machine. Somehow, some way they cooked up some weaponry there. But I want to know, what role is she playing here? Because when 11 went into the room with her, they smiled at one another. It was like truly sisters. They found one another, and that was a nice moment. But there's dread around the corner when it comes to them and the fact that they're stealing upside down. How are they going to get out? And how are they going to work together to finally vanquish Vecna? But the big one, of course, had to say the best for last. We got ourselves a superhero, people. We got ourselves a Doctor Strange in this show. We've been setting this up for 5 seasons. That Will was bigger than what he has displayed on the show so far. He's kind of been the MacGuffin, yet the background player for the majority of this run. But it's good to see that this season so far, at least this first volume, is Will centric, and he deserves it. Noah Schnapp has been killing it in the role. Love him in this role, and he deserves as much shine as possible because all of the other kids got their shine. Mike got his shine. Lucas got his shine. Dustin's getting his shine. 11, of course, gets her shine. Even Max came in and got her shine. Not so much with Will. Will hasn't had a nice run of shine. Oh, but he's getting it now. He's getting it now. Better late than never. It was a nice talk with Robin and him when Robin, who is a lesbian on the show, even though my Hawke isn't, but she plays one on TV. And she kind of clocks the fact that Will is, and clocks the fact that Will not only is gay, but he loves Mike, just from a conversation that him and Mike were having. So she kind of pulls him to the side and gives him this speech, and it was beautiful. Beautiful speech that she gave, a beautiful talk. I mean, I got kind of choked up. I'm gonna be honest with you, I got kind of choked up. I thought that was a nice moment, and it ended up coming back to play major dividends at the end of this episode. Basically, the whole speech was telling Will to be who you are. Stop searching for the answers elsewhere. The answers are within you. And that's something for everybody. And it doesn't have to do with sexuality or whatever. It can be anything that is a part of you or you're struggling with mentally. Stop searching for the answer. A lot of people search for the answers at the end of the bottle, through drugs and everything else. Sometimes you just have to sit back and search within yourself. And that's all that she was saying. And that's all that Will had to do. It's like the Wizard of Oz, all that time, all she had to do was click her ruby slippers 3 times and she would have went back home because the power was in her. And Will the moment when he took control of those demigorgons, bro. Oh my god! I almost stood up out the sofa. I was so excited, man. It was like me watching the first Avengers movie, and when Bruce Banner came and met up with the Avengers, and he's walking towards that Leviathan, and it was coming, and Cap tells him like, "Oh, now's a good time to get angry," and he's like, "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry." And he just turns, and as he's turning, he's transforming into the Hawke, and he punched that Leviathan. And I stood up in the theater and just clapped because that was the most awesome moment. You know, as a comic book lover and reader for since I was a little kid, that was the comic book moment coming to life for me, and it was full of excitement. This was the closest thing to that. And you know, it's all because Will. It's like it was the biggest payoff of all time. We've been waiting 5 seasons in about 10 years for this moment to happen. And it happened. You know, they set this up from jump, you know, Will the sorcerer, you know, in D&D. So for it to come full circle and pay off in this moment, and you know that there are bigger things to come going forward, especially when it comes to his next interaction with Vecna. Now that we know that he's unlocked this power within him, it's going to be amazing. And man, what a moment, exciting moment. And that's how volume 1 came to a close. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Like I said, they could have ended it right there and I would have been happy. Yeah. Even with most of our heroes stuck in the in the upside down, I still would have been happy if they would have ended it right there because I have been satisfied. The fact that we're getting not one but 2 more volumes of this, I'm equally excited, man. I'm they couldn't have done this better. Honestly, man, kudos to the Duffer Brothers and Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont, he directed the 3rd episode, but the other 3 were directed by the Duffer Brothers. And in case you don't know who Frank Darabont is, I mean, crawl from under that rock. Go watch the Shawshank Redemption. Go watch The Mist. Go watch the first season of The Walking Dead. Yes, that'll be one Frank Darabont who gave us those gems. Yeah, great job. Super excited going for. I can't wait till Christmas. That's all I want. All I want for Christmas is volume 2, and we're gonna get it on Netflix. Man, this was great. I'm not even hungry for Thanksgiving. I'm full. I'm full. I don't need. Well, that's a lie. I want some turkey. I want some turkey and some cranberry sauce and dressing. That's a bald-faced lie. But yeah, my soul is full. Let's leave it there. But stomach, yeah, I can eat. What are your thoughts of Stranger Things episode 5, volume 1? Did you enjoy these first 4 episodes? Are you looking forward to volume 2? And what predictions do you have going forward? I would like to know. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel. And like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this recap and review of Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 1. Everybody, have a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoy your time with family, eating some good turkey, watching some football, or watching Stranger Things. It is well, I ain't gonna say it's family friendly because there's some especially that battle in the fourth episode with the military, Vecna does some pretty like gory stuff to the military forces. But just make sure you eat long before you watch that episode. But other than that, man, I hope you all enjoy your Thanksgiving. Be well. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.